Greetings and salutations, loving people. I'm Oberon. Welcome to my hut. Alright, so I did one training between episodes. I'm not impressed with crowd control. Like, I did 4 or 5 attempts to use the sleep spell with my enchantress. All of them failed. Every single last one of them failed. Crowd control is just like things like the crowd control and the recruiting stuff. I'm gonna count that as just unreliable waste of spells for the moment, unless they're at like double-digit health. Then there's probably a chance that those skills will be useful. But until then, I'm not counting on it. So good to know. And I ran with 2 healers instead of 3. And I still lost a couple units, and I almost lost my enchantress. So we're going to stick with 3 healers, especially going into this castle. I did get a lot more. So actually, we're going to start this with a save, because I bought a lot more of this healing leaf. So I want to go up here, scope out what's going on.
Who goes there? Speak your name.
Warriors, a knight.
I am Leonard Risi Ryman, sworn sword of the Knights of Almorica. I come before you a humble servant of the great Duke Ronway, esteemed leader of the Wallister.
I shall announce your arrival.
The Dark Knights make their fastness here in Fiduck Castle. See her soaring white walls? No wonder they name her the Swan. But beneath her outward beauty is a nearly impregnable fortress. Be glad we are not tasked to take her.
We have looked for your arrival, Sir Leonard. You bring word from the Duke?
I totally expected a battle here. So
I do, my lord.
it's also been a couple days between recordings, so I don't exactly remember what the story's doing right now.
No doubt you've had a hard journey. Come, rest within our halls. Good knights. We find your Duke's proposal most intriguing.
Have you an answer?
Perhaps you'd best ask my lord directly for that.
He has an interesting name. Balxiphon?
Sir Lancelot is here. In this castle?
Greetings, brave knights of the Wallister. I am Lancelot Tartaros.
Leonard Risi Ryman of Almorica, if it please you. You have considered our proposal?
You waste no time, do you? I like that. I do have an answer for your Duke. Tell His Grace that his struggle with the Galgastani is of no concern to His Eminence Abuna Branton. Nor is it any concern of ours. The Knights Lothlorien remain and shall remain neutral on the matter.
My thanks, sir, for your swift response. Our lord will be much pleased.
Indeed. Yet I must ask, do you really believe you can defeat Galgastan without our aid?
Defeat Galgastan? Surely not. But such was never our intention. All we want, all we have ever wanted, is to fashion a peace with them. The Galgastani are a proud people. Were it to come to light that we sought foreign aid, it would endanger the position of those Galgastani who seek an accord as we do.
So, your Duke does not want to anger his neighbors by placing his problems in our hands. Buckram could stand to take a lesson from him.
I did not mean to suggest.
No matter. We of Lodus place much upon a man's honor. I can understand why your Duke would disdain the Buckram way, enjoying a life of leisure while others do their dirty work.
As you say, sir.
Forgive me, but your henchmen are so youthful. I feared you wanted for seasoned men.
Though they may be young in years, my knight's skill in battle is no lesser for it.
Indeed.
They freed His Excellency and routed the Galgastani at Almorica. Moreover, it was they who came to my aid in Chrysaro. Without their intervention, I would not be here today.
Ah, so these are the heroes of Goliath, then. Forgive an old knight his errant tongue. I say, have we met?
No, not as such. That is...
That is what? Speak plainly.
Vice, keep your mouth shut.
that night in Goliath. It snowed for the first time in years. The sweep of flakes over the harbour. The bitter cold. You were there.
Mind your place, Kashua. Have you forgotten why we are here?
Interesting. Okay, so if I go with number 2, we were fools to treat with our enemy. I have a feeling that would completely backfire this entire endeavor that we're on, or at least could, depending on how the game works. And if we're going to, I assume eventually the story will come around to the point where we can fight these Knights of Lotus and rid the world of them. However, I feel like we're not high enough level for that yet. So even with the intent of someday fighting these guys, we are better served, I think, biding our time, not angering them yet, waiting until we are stronger and more established and better geared before we cross this line. So I'm going to go with not right now and make an attempt to bide our time. And I'm thankful it was Kashua that spoke and not Vice.
He's right, sister. This isn't the time. This conflict is larger than us now.
Ah, the torching. You would have been children, of course.
Aye. We attacked that night on word that elements of the resistance lurked in town.
False word, yes. I remember it well. As do you, clearly. We were in error, though I hardly expect forgiveness on that count. Still, I can but apologize for all it will do.
Interesting. Probably political pleasantries and political maneuvering on both sides, I would assume.
Enough of this. The Duke awaits our return.
Oh, I'd hoped to speak at greater length.
Forgive them. Forgive us, good sir. We'll be taking our leave.
Nice and polite, pushing the chairs back in. Kashua, what are you doing? Good.
Was that entirely necessary?
You recall Hoberim?
My brother? Aye. He was a staunch ally in a fight. Why?
Nothing. Only the brother and sister just now. Put me in mind of him and you.
So that interaction reminded him of another brother of the knight who was a staunch ally in battle. Why does it remind him of an ally in battle? That's a red flag to me. And I totally expected, by the way, completely expected to like siege the castle. Where's inventory? System, train, shop, Warren report. Maybe Warren report is what I'm after. Anyway, well, let me show you what I bought. Of these Mendeleaf plus ones, I bought literally 30 of them because I was expecting a 2-level siege of the castle. Totally forgetting that this was a diplomatic matter, not a military matter. Oops. Oops and daisicles. Alright, back to Amorica. Excuse me.
You set aside your own enmity for the greater Wallister good. Such loyal service will not be forgotten. Would the time afforded you more rest, but I must ask you to leave for Balmamusa at once.
Balmamusa. That sounds quite an exotic location.
Balmamusa. That lies in the territory the Galgastani allotted for Wallister rule, no?
Wallister rule. Camps where our people are forced to live in squalor. It was a mining town once. Coal. Now our kinsmen are herded there like cattle.
My apologies, that was my stomach.
Some 5,000 labor in Balmamusa. Slaves in all but name. The conditions are horrific. Scores die by the day.
Then it falls to us to free them.
You could never free 500, leave alone 5,000. No. You are to incite them to revolt.
An army 5,000 strong. There for the taking.
Not quite, Vice. They said that where the people live in squalor. You're not getting... There may be 5,000 population, but they're not going to be 5,000 military-aged males. Or females, for that matter. No, this is going to be civilian women and children among the military age. Like, not quite that much, I would assume. Maybe half that.
We cannot stay our course and hope for victory. We are far outmatched. However slight, we must tip the scales in our favor before Galgastan strikes. If all goes well, our bid will widen the rift between Balbatos and his enemies at home. He can scarce dispatch troops here before silencing the cries of dissent within his own ranks. This is our chance.
Dispatch the troops. He can't dispatch troops before silencing the cries of dissent within his own ranks. So we're going to be inciting revolt so that the people have a chance to fight for their own freedom but also so that they serve as a decoy to be slaughtered by their masters.
There will be those in Balmamusa with no stomach for fighting, and others who would sooner leave things as they are.
However, if they're victorious in their fight for victory and freedom, the fight would be worth it.
Your task will be to win them to our cause.
They grow weary of fighting, else they would rally more readily. I can think of none better to wake their slumbering heroism than young heroes such as yourselves.
I shall follow at the head of a separate file bearing arms for them.
It is hard to replicate the zeal of youth, for sure.
The Galgastani hold the lands west of Tynemouth. Dame Ravnus will go with you in support.
My sword is yours.
Much rests on your young shoulders. I pray for your swift return. I'm counting on you, Leonard. Do not fail me.
No need to worry. Our plans proceed apace.
Ravnus joined the party as a guest. Okay, so for obvious reasons, the path north has been cut. So now we travel further east. Lake Bordeaux, Zayad Moors, and Balmamusa. Part of me is wondering how far we should go in this episode because we're already 20 minutes in, but I think...
Sir Lancelot!
And yet more story. Okay.
Ah, Denham. Tracked me down, did you?
Sir Gildas told me I'd find you here.
So you have. Please, come closer. You look troubled. This business in Balmamusa disturbs you.
Sir Leonard says it will be a dangerous undertaking.
Are you frightened? That's not like you.
I am not frightened.
There's no shame in admitting fear. We are all afraid at one time or another.
Even you?
Oh, more times than I can count. At the first ring of steel, my hands tremble with it. But fear alone cannot kill you. It has no teeth.
It's strange. I tell myself I would gladly die for our cause. But when faced with death, the fear is all too real.
Risking your life is one thing. Losing it is another. The best way to aid your people is to stay alive. See the battle through to the end. And there's your sister to think of.
What about you? Would you die to save the ones you love? What's that?
Oh, some backstory.
A music box. It belonged to my wife.
Oh.
Your wife?
It's been 4, 5 years now, before the war with the Empire. They advanced, and we fled, vagrants in our own land. My wife fell ill, and before I knew it, she was gone. I considered following her into death. My thoughts often strayed down that path before battle. But her music box still sang of life, and I knew it was not my time. My burden had not yet reached its end.
I'm sorry.
One young as you should never be forced to fight. But that's not the world we live in.
Interesting. Okie dokie. Like I was saying, we are now 22 minutes into this episode. This might be an hour-long episode if we don't cut it here. So I think we're going to call it an episode. I'm unsure about having an episode without a little bit of combat. But you know what? I think that's okay. This will be a story time. If you guys tell me down in the comments, how long of episodes would you prefer to have, like no longer than 45 minutes, or are you okay with just a storied episode and not like on times like this? Clearly when the story goes into 20-30 minutes, are you guys okay with that without having an episode without battle? Let me know in the let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, thank you everybody for spending your time with me today. Keep loving your hearts. Peace.